There, guys, looking back at you. Look, look. Did you see it?
Out onto the river. Welcome to rafting here at the Ausable Chasm. I'll try and have some fun facts for you here as we make our way down the river. I do have a couple rules I just have to glance over real quick. Your feet will probably have to get wet as your way of securing yourself inside the boat today is tucking your feet underneath the seat in front of you. The blue and white rope along the outside of the boat, even though it may look like a perfect handle, I am going to ask you to leave it alone. In case I bump into the walls, I don't want anybody losing a finger today. So we'll keep those hands inside the boat.
Yeah, this is really
use of electronics,
a nice
phones,
quiet
like that, totally
right now.
Just keep in mind my lack of scuba equipment, so I cannot do anything if it lands outside of the boat. Other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And we can make it through these little warm-up waves. Like I said, our water's a little on the lower side right now, so I'm concerned about dodging some rocks. But I honestly think it's a little better than being on the higher side, as the storm floods in here can be absolutely insane.
Oh, wow.
In 2011, when Hurricane Irene came through, the floodwaters at their highest were only about 20 feet away from the Grand Flume Bridge way up above us today.
Wow.
Today it's about 100 feet off of the water level.
Amazing.
And the reason why the water spiked so high in this section is mainly due to how narrow it is, especially coming up here. And some of the wider sections, the water didn't shoot up quite as much. But right here is the most narrow point throughout the entire chasm, and only about 15 or so feet wide, depending on where you are. Towards the end, it widens out just a little bit more, just about the length of these boats, actually. Other thing about this section of the river is this is the deepest spot inside the Ausable Chasm. Any guesses how deep it is right here? Not quite 150.
75.
Ooh, 70 to 80 feet deep. That was a quick answer, too. There was no doubt in that.
You must have looked that up already.
This is a research beforehand. Did you do the river walk? Did someone spoil my surprise at the end? All right, just checking. Didn't realize how much cooler it was staying inside the Grand Flume than the rest of the chasm. It's pretty nice right here. And then right here, this is where it widens out just enough for me to show off a little bit. And I like doing this to show off and because I like the view looking back up into the chasm where we just came from. Part of the reason why I like this view so much is I get to inform you that the chasm's playing a little bit of a trick. A little bump on the left there. And the trick there is that we didn't actually go very far downhill. The rocks are actually coming out of the water at an angle, creating an optical illusion. And then on our left, it's going to end up becoming the front of the boat as I continue to spin. But that big dried out waterfall there holds what we call the broken needle. That big chunk up towards the top, that is indeed the broken part. Over the many winters, the Ausable Chasm has seen water would seep between that rock and the rest of the wall and freeze. And when water freezes, it expands. Eventually, it was enough to break that large chunk of rock off. And it sits in a dried out waterfall that's connected to what is now the little dry chasm trail. When it was not the dry chasm trail, it would overflow into the river here. And on the opposite side, we call that cutout the Century Box. It's a bit more clean cut, but that one is connected to what we now call the Big Dry Chasm. So there used to be kind of twin waterfalls right here where the dry chasm trails would dump into the main river. We'll get another chance to look up the Grand Flume here in just a second as we start to make our way across the current and back down the river. Questions so far? Back here behind us used to be the main generator that powered a pulley system that would drag the boat back up the river. Or I should say pull, drag it along. The guys would have to stay inside the boat and steer them on their whole trip back up the river, which sounds like a really long day with no breaks to me. We had a conveyor belt at the end that once I put the boat on, it gets dropped on a truck and it's driven back up. Pretty sweet.
Are we going back up? Did you
No,
say?
we're gonna-
No.
As I start to float across the river here, we're going to start making our way. Right here is where I let the smell any screaming from the back of the boat. It's totally normal. Down here, but we do have a couple waves up ahead of us still.
You fool. Yeah. I remember those days. Oh my God.
Everybody's still in the boat, that's all we're doing. Not the birds I'm used to seeing down here, but we'll take it. On the second half of the tour is usually where we see a little bit more of our wildlife. That like noon today. Where's everybody? Nowhere, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's gonna get really hot.
Warmer out after today. Well, you guys probably have some wolf spiders where you live too.
Wolf spiders?
Yeah. We call this rock wall coming up on our right wolf spider wall. Right now it's not too bad because we're just starting to get some of our really warm weather.
I see some.
But these deeper cracks in the rock wall stay nice and cool throughout the day. So there will be thousands, if not tens of thousands on the right side of the boat that will float over. But I can demonstrate what the rock shelves do to the depth in this area. Because right here we can see very, very shallow when we're over one of these rock shelves. To the point where I can even hit it with my paddle pretty easy. But then if I pick up and just give it a one Mississippi and try all the white foam on top of the water, I promise it is not pollution. The culprit is floating right along with it. All the pine needles you see, they release a little bit of a couple more of the rock shelves. This one sticks out pretty far, and occasionally we'll see some fish swimming over it. We're starting to come out of the season where we'll have it, but quite a few smallmouth bass will lay their eggs over the rock shelves down here towards the end of the tour. And as the weather gets warmer, they start to hatch and swim out of the chasm. At this point, we're seeing some of the baby fish over options once you exit. So, from once you hop out, you'll follow the green railing up to the building at the top of the hill. Your life jackets do need to make it up there with you. Just just hang them on one of the railings up there. It'll say Raft Vests and it'll be pointing right down at the railing. Once you do that, there is a trail map up there